We are live.
Okay, and hopefully you are all seeing my screen in presenter mode.
You need to turn up your volume.
All right, Mary, go ahead.
Okay, the Osec meeting is called to order this Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. Roll call and introductions. Adrian, did you want me to do the roll call?
We should start with the meeting setup first.
Oh, meeting setup, I'm sorry, yes. Okay, this meeting is compliant with the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20 issued on March 17th, 2020, a whole year ago, allowing for deviation of teleconference rules required by the Brown Act. The purpose of this is to provide the safest environment for staff, committee members, and the public while allowing for public participation. The public may address the committee using exclusively remote public comment options. The committee may take action on any item listed in the agenda. Members of the public may view the Open Space and Ecology Committee meetings by logging into the Zoom meeting listed below. Open Space and Ecology Committee meetings can also be viewed live and or on demand via the city's YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/Brisbane, California, or on Comcast channel 27. You can also find past meetings listed on the Brisbane website. The Open Space and Ecology Committee meeting will be an exclusively virtual meeting. The Osec agenda materials may be viewed online at www.brisbanecalifornia.org at least 24 hours prior to a special meeting and at least 72 hours prior to a regular meeting. Public comments. Meeting participants are encouraged to submit public comments in writing in advance of the meeting. Aside from commenting while in the Zoom meeting, the following email and text line will also be monitored during the meeting, and public comments received will be read into the record during oral communications or during an item. You may email Etherton, that's AETHERTON @brisbaneca.org, or text 415-203-8897. Okay.
Okay, before we go forward, I just wanted to mention we had some discussions after our last meeting. It was a lively debate, and I apologize that I was not better prepared to manage that lively debate. So we wanted to kind of change things up a little bit. I'm going to let Mary, as the chair, take a more active role in facilitating the discussion, and I will try to keep my eye on the participant box to track who is up next. We will also hopefully have Mary helping to track that, and other folks, please help us do so as well. And then the plan was to disable chat, which would be in accordance with the kind of protocols for a public meeting. But unfortunately, the webinar format does not allow me to disable chat among participants or among panelists, excuse me. So what we are going to do is just ask that everyone please refrain from using the chat, aside from perhaps if there is a technical issue that you need to raise, then by all means go ahead and do so. But the chat should not be used for any substantive comments because it's not visible to folks who are watching the broadcast. So I think with that, hopefully we can, really have a more, productive, organized discussion. And the last piece was about how the broadcast is viewed. Unfortunately, we have limited options during screen share and live broadcasts. So what the viewers see is the screen and only the current speaker. I'm thinking that one thing that we could do is if we are going to have a prolonged discussion about an item, we may just decide to stop screen share so that people would be able to see a gallery view for that portion. Hopefully for the remainder of the meeting, that will be sufficient, but we are going to continue to try to dig into some other options between this and our next meeting, and see if we can come up with some other ways that we might be able to do that. So hopefully that will work a little bit better. And if anybody has any other suggestions, please let me know.
Michelle?
Yeah, I feel terrible when I stick my hand up like this when someone's talking, when I want to talk. Should we only use the raise hand option? Does everyone have that option on their screen? Because otherwise I feel like, okay, I raised it, but then somebody's talking, so I take it down, then I raise it. I'm like a little puppet here. So what would you like? What would you prefer?
I think for me, it works well to use the raise hand function within Zoom, because then I can see everybody all in one place visually and not necessarily have to see, back and forth, and not have you keep your hand up the whole time in order for me to know that you have your hand raised.
And does everyone have that function?
Yeah, I do not have that function. I have the newest release of Zoom, and it does not have raise hand. So I don't know if anyone else is in the same boat.
Are you sure it's not hidden within another?
I have participants, Q&A, chat, share screen, and record. Those are the functions that I have. So
do you have in your participants, if you open the participants panel on the side?
No, it just allows me to invite. So yeah.
Well, you're the chair. You shouldn't have to raise your hand.
Yeah. I'll raise my hand.
You're running the meeting.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out.
All right. I do, let's see, there was a hand that popped up, but maybe that was just somebody testing to see if it worked.
Yeah, did someone test?
No, it was me just raising my hand electronically.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I think maybe Glenn was also just a test.
Oh, you're on mute, Glenn.
I was going to say, Mary, that there might be 3 dots at the bottom of your screen out to the right-hand side.
No, there isn't. I just.
Okay.
Someone brought up the point that since Mary's running it, there would be no need to raise a hand. It may be baked in.
Yeah, I
But
don't.
she's not actually a host.
Yeah, I just. Huh. Okay.
Well, we should just see how it goes.
Okay. All righty. So we're going to formally call the meeting to order, right?
Before we do that, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I've been having technical difficulties despite trying to join 15 minutes early.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're here.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So the Osec meeting's called to order this Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. Roll call. Michelle? Michelle's here. Glenn?
Here, I'm here.
Glenn?
Here.
Barbara?
Here.
Jason?
Here.
Shauna?
Here.
Oh, great. Okay, everyone is here. Welcome. Adoption of the agenda. Everyone sees it on the screen. Can I have a motion to adopt?
I make a move that we adopt the agenda.
Second. I'll second. Okay. Agenda adopted.
I see Glenn.
Next.
I don't know if she was trying to ask a question or. Glenn?
I think we missed Ross.
Oh, yes, I sure did. Sorry. Oh, gosh, Ross.
Yeah,
Is Ross. Sorry, Ross.
no worries.
Thank you. You're here. Everybody's here.
I had you on the list, Ross.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, oral communications. Does anybody have any oral communications?
Did we actually second and adopt the agenda?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. If no one has any oral, I have a oral communication. Oops, I'm sorry, Michelle. You're on mute.
Sorry, Mary, can you see my hand, little yellow hand up there for me, or no?
No, I do not.
Oh, that's going to be hard if
Oh.
you can't see
Yeah,
the hand.
I don't see the hands. I mean, I saw your hand.
Yeah, that's what I went. Whoa, wait, I have
Not the little Zoom hand. I don't have that.
Okay. Well, that'll be a problem. I just wanted to remind folks in the audience and members that the Mission Blue Nursery, although we are not having general plant sales, like our big plant sales where everybody comes at one time, because we are still being COVID safe, we do have plant sales, and you can go on mountainwatch.org and look at plants and order your plants and place an order for them and pay for them and pick them up. So please don't hesitate to buy plants. It's the perfect time of year to plant, especially with all this rain. So don't forget to get your plants and make your donations. That's my public service announcement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glenn also has her hand.
Glenn? Oh, mute. You're mute.
All right. So I have a question. I happen to live next door to a city council member who sent me a text last night saying, who on Osec is now on the Baylands Council subcommittee? And I said, I don't think we have anybody on the Baylands Council subcommittee.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't see it on the agenda. I took a quick look at the agenda. I did not see it on there. And this seems like the best place to introduce new business. So maybe the staff could tell us about that. And I guess we probably do need to choose somebody. Anyway, that was it.
Thank you. In addition to the Baylands subcommittee, possibly a new subcommittee, I'd also like to let folks know, and I'm sure you already know, that the quarry may be under redevelopment with Orchard, I think it's Orchard Properties. There was a subcommittee, a planning subcommittee meeting that happened during the week at lunchtime. I wasn't able to attend, but I did read a little bit about it. And so I think that Osec needs to be part of that process in order to ensure, we get as much open space as possible. Anyway, that's just FYI, and hopefully we'll get more information. Adrian, you look a little puzzled. So hoping we can add that to our subcommittee list. So both Glenn's Baylands subcommittee and then the quarry redevelopment subcommittee, I think will need to be added, or we could talk about it during subcommittees.
I'm going to defer to people with more authority than me.
Yeah, I think we'll have to be told to appoint someone,
Okay.
but we can ask. We can certainly ask. And
Okay.
We hadn't been told yet to assign someone to the Baylands, but maybe there's different kind of conversations going on that haven't been, formally passed down via staff yet.
I just don't want it to get missed in fact. So, because I think Osec should be part of that whole process. So that's just an FYI. Are there any?
Karen, I'm curious, since we are discussing subcommittee reorganizations tonight, could Osec decide who that person would be, barring, something coming up between the next meeting? Or to be prepared if something came up between the next meeting, or is that?
I don't want to assign someone, but we could talk about if we, unless Randy's going to put anything there on mute. Unless we're told to put someone on, it's not time to officially do that,
Okay. All righty. Any other oral communications?
My inclination would be to put off the subcommittee reassignments for at least one more month, until we hear if we have a chance to have that conversation with City Council at large. But we're getting a bit into the weeds there. The only other thing I have that I kind of want to throw in here is I had a request from the member of the community if we could get the compost delivery a little bit earlier in the year to more align with people's gardening needs. But well, we can discuss that further later. I just wanted to bring that up while it was on my mind.
I do think that Jason has a hand raised.
Yeah, I wanted to second Barbara's notion that we hold one more month, because someone had said it was typical to go to a couple months to give people an idea what was going on. And I would prefer that. And as someone else brought up rightfully, so officially know if we are doing the Baylands thing or not. So I'd be good with next month for that.
Okay, sounds good. So it'll be an April agenda item. Perfect. Okay, let's move on to approval of the minutes. Hoping everybody had a chance to read through the minutes. Are there any concerns or changes?
I
Nope.
move that we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. We have to do all in favor. Roll call. Okay, Michelle,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Barbara,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Shauna,
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. No old business. Our new business, first item is the Brisbane Acres Vegetation Management Plan.
Did you have a slide? Yes, you did.
All right.
So apologies, right before the meeting, I was thinking Bob was going to talk about this and Bob was thinking I was, so I'm speaking about it. Again, this is, most of the committee is familiar, and I think maybe a couple of the new committee members did kind of participate when On Point Land Management did the update on the vegetation management they did last year. So this is in the Brisbane Acres and the city-owned properties within the Brisbane Acres. And this consultant that has knowledge and expertise of which acres we own and endangered butterflies and native plants and host plants and invasive plants familiarity is again proposing to do maintenance of those acres that we own. We talk over the years about doing pilot programs or focusing in some areas and seeing how effective those were. In the past couple of years, we've done some pilot brush management, and I think we're kind of in the wait and see how effective that is phase. So they're proposing kind of a similar project to recent past years in the Harold Road site, around the water tank areas, and then the West Margaret, Upper Paul Avenue sites. And then they will give us a report out in the fall. Does anybody have questions or want more detail?
Glenn? You're on mute. Oh, there you go.
There was a pretty large population of Scabiosa by the water tank at one time. And I just wondered if they were working on that. It's not mentioned in the list of species that they're going after.
My recollection is that that's come up before, and it's not that they don't spray a little bit, but some of when they're cutting broom and fennel, they're painting it. And Scabiosa, from what I remember about conversations with Markeith of On Point Land Management, is that they can only deal with the widespread and the concentration of Scabiosa with spraying. And so then you maybe impact other plants that you don't want to when you're up that high.
Right.
So it's kind of a tough one to solve. I mean, I don't know if you think that it's something that we could think about doing a volunteer work day to try to.
I do. I think that would be a good idea because in the past, and this is at least 10 years ago, there were volunteer work days up around the water tanks. And we did yank Scabiosa up there, but I think those have kind of gone away. So it might be time for another one.
Okay.
I'll make note of that because sometimes when we're looking for summer habitat days, I don't remember that location coming up. So we'll make note of it for a future reference.
we can have one later this year.
Yeah, and was that near Margaret Tank? Glenn, do you know the one at the very high up tank? Because
Oh,
there's
gosh.
Glen Park, there's two tanks that are right off of Humboldt Road, the Glen Park tanks. So the higher up on the hill, kind of above Kings, would be Margaret.
You know, Bob, I honestly don't remember. It's been so long since I've been up there.
Well,
I don't think there's a tank on Margaret anymore, is there?
Yes.
well, this
Well, it's
called
not on
Margaret.
Mark.
Our
Go ahead.
highest water tank is called Margaret Tank, and it's off of
Beatrice.
yeah.
Beatrice. Yeah,
Alexander.
okay. I guess if you continued Margaret past where it actually stops.
Somehow it was named that before our
I
time.
see. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I
I
did
know what
see
he's talking about.
that Shauna was waving. Shauna, I don't know if in the future, if you can use the hand raise function, that might be helpful, but go ahead, I think probably.
I don't know when, I'm sorry, I don't know where this stopped. I've been crawling around up on those hills now for the last year just to get some exercise. And what I'm seeing also is some large populations of Sparaxis, which is a South African bulb. It's all over the ridge. I've been coming up with my hori and sort of digging it out as I go along, but I see it up it's coming down the hills. It's up on the top of the ridge. And that's definitely something that naturalizes really well. And I'm not sure how well it'll crowd out other things, but some of the clumps were getting very large.
Can you
So
repeat the name of that species?
It's called Sparaxis. And
Towns.
it looks like that. It's a little orange flower. It's really pretty, but it's a little bulb, kind of like it makes the same kind of thing as a freesia does. It makes this little bulb with little flat leaf-like leaves, and then these, and it naturalizes like crazy.
So the county manages the property that's above the city-owned property, and they do have a lot of transects, and they're pretty involved with the vegetation up near the ridge. So that's outside of our jurisdiction. But the good thing is they also have been hiring On Point Land Management for a lot of their work. So On Point is really in tune with kind of the countywide efforts and our property. So it would certainly be on their radar to keep an eye out for it. But if it's up near the ridge, the county is really involved up near the ridge because it's got a lot of prime habitat up there.
Okay.
So thanks for bringing that to our attention. I'm just letting you know that there's even though it's outside of our property, there are a lot of people looking at that area.
And it's one of those things that it really does, you probably wouldn't notice it unless it's in bloom, and because then it just kind of looks like a green little leafy thing. But when it's in bloom, it's pretty obvious to get rid of. And they come out really easily.
See, Michelle.
Sean, I don't know if this will help you at all, but I have asked specifically about this plant before because I know it's a non-native. And what I was told, and this is maybe 3 years ago, was that it is it's not yet considered an invasive. It isn't, I mean, it's a non-native, but it's not considered, it's not on the hot list of invasives that we would want to spend our resources removing it. Our money is better spent getting rid of the things that are truly impinging on the habitat. But it's good that you brought it up, and it's good for us to keep an eye on it. And I'll remember and Bob helped me remember to ask Hannah during our next quarterly meeting if we should be starting to be concerned about the Sparaxis.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
just for people that don't know, that's the Natural Resources Conservation group that meets quarterly about all of the HCP.
San Bruno Mountains HCP, yeah. But thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention, Shauna, because it is a non-native.
And
So, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, Glenn, when we get closer to planning another habitat day, I will be able to, I'll pop around, and we've got the mapping that On Point Land Management turns in that identifies some of the plants they treat. So I'll take a look and see if they've identified scabiosa, and then maybe loop you in before we do the planning for our like next summer Habitat Day to see if that's the sites that you're remembering. So we'll figure that out.
I feel like my memory was that it was Margaret Tank, but I don't want to say I'm 100% sure.
I think you're right, Karen, and I think that Mark Heath mentioned that they do get it when they have extra time.
Okay. I mean, I can ping him about it too.
And the other reason I was asking is because there's a private property that we don't own kind of near Glen Park Tank that has a lot of broom and stuff, but that's, and there's a trail that cuts through it, but that's not city property on the lower tanks adjacent to.
Yeah, sorry, I don't remember just which tank it was. It could even have been the Glen Park tank, but I don't think so. I think it was up higher than that.
I was there and it was the Margaret Tank, Glenn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say in response to Shauna's comment that the time to stop an invasion is early. So, you know, what I've seen occasional Spiraxis plants on the mountain, but I didn't realize they naturalized that quickly. So I definitely think that we should bug the county about it and try to nip it in the bud, because, you know, that's the way these invasions go. First you see a few of them and then it's a carpet. So it seems to me like if we know that they naturalize easily, we should go after it.
If they're along paths and they're not like super widespread, maybe Mountain Watch in one of their volunteer days could kind of focus on that.
Yeah, that would be fine. However,
I've made an
Oops, you're on mute.
I've made a note to ask Hannah about it and see if we can get a wandering site activity permit to take care of it, because it's pretty here and there. As Shauna will probably tell you, there's not a big, like, huge population of it in one spot, but it does occur along Ridge Road, and I've seen it in Buckeye Canyon and a few other places. So I made a note to ask Hannah, who is the natural resources manager for the habitat and for the county.
So may I suggest that we include these 2 volunteer days on our calendar, just so we don't forget. We may not do it, but just so we don't forget, and, you know, schedule them probably later in the year. So Glenn?
So Michelle and Bob, since you have a conduit to the county, do you know if they're doing anything about the pampas grass that Adrian and I went up and located plant by plant? When was that, Adrian? It was like a year and a half ago or something.
At least.
Yeah. And you were able to kind of map those, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. I was dropping pins along a map. I think it still pops up in my Google Maps sometimes.
Adrian, did you provide Hannah with that map?
I am not generally in direct contact with Hannah. I don't know, Bob, did I pass it along to you to share with her?
Yeah, I think you did, and I shared it with her, and I don't remember, Glenn, I don't have it in front of me, but they, I don't remember how the conversation went, and I did share it. I actually have it, the map, it comes up on Google Maps sometimes when I'm logged in, and I don't know, I don't remember what they said, if that's in their current work plan, but I will, I can look back through my emails and see where that was at.
Okay.
But I do know that we, whatever you guys passed along, I have shared, and they have, you know, they developed their own work plan as best they can. So I don't remember what they said about some of those. I'll have to look.
Okay.
I know that Jabata grass, also known as pampas grass, is hot on their list, and it's hot on the weed management list as well. So I've made a note to ask Hannah about that too, and Bob will also. Right, Bob?
I do remember half the answer. Half the answer was we just spent $60,000 pulling it off of Montero Mountain. San Bruno's next, I think, is what they said, but I'd have to double check.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
it's not easy to get rid of.
No, but they said, yeah, we're on the Jabata grass. This year, the money went towards Montero Mountain, and I do remember the $60,000 figure. And so I think they said we're tackling Montero Mountain this year, maybe San Bruno Mountain in the future. So I think that was the response to sharing that. but that's off of memory. And the other thing is right now, yesterday was the weed management area meeting, and Cal Ipsy had sent around a spreadsheet asking for, they had a list of plants for each agency to fill out that they were tackling, and they were kind of consolidating that. And so Hannah was not at the meeting yesterday, but she had received that spreadsheet. So they're kind of compiling that to try and get a better countywide focus on who's, plants of concern and who's tackling what. So I will look back and on that spreadsheet, and I will go over Mark or On Point Land Management's what they've tracked, because he doesn't mention Spiraxis. So if it's not on our property, I don't know if I'd want to put that in if it's just up near the ridge, but I can let Hannah know if she's still filling out her spreadsheets.
So on this item, we're looking for approval of this plan for the year.
I move that we approve the plan as stated.
Second.
We need to vote
Do
on
we
that.
have a second or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, second.
Ross and for Jason.
All in favor? Michelle,
Aye.
Glenn,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Shauna,
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Okay, they're approved. Next item, open space presentation by Bob.
Okay, hang on a second, Bob. I'm going to stop sharing and hopefully you should be able to start sharing now.
Okay, let me know when you see it.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Okay, I'm gonna kill my video so that way it doesn't interrupt. Sometimes that eats into the presentation.
Okay.
And with
All right. Or eats into the bandwidth for Zoom. Okay, so staff was asked to compile a report as a briefing to City Council since it's the 20th anniversary of the open space plan. And so we wanted to share with you first, since we know that a lot of the current Osec members may also be unfamiliar with the plan. And, the plan was born out of Osec. So this is what this is our 20th anniversary report of the Brisbane Open Space Plan. The Bay Area has been booming ever since the gold rush, and by the middle of the 20th century, there was significant interest in developing San Bruno Mountain. And luckily, there were enough concerned residents with the spirit to band together to fight the proposed developments. While this local fight was taking place, a broader sense of environmental awareness was spreading through the country. Richard Nixon signed the Endangered Species Act in 1973. With the passage of the Endangered Species Act and the strength and support of the residents fighting to save the mountain, the following agencies got together to form the nation's first habitat conservation plan. These agencies included the California Departments of Parks and Rec, the California Department of Fish and Game, which is now Fish and Wildlife, the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife, the City of Brisbane, the City of Daly City, the City of South San Francisco, the County of San Mateo, and the Committee to Save San Bruno Mountain. In 1982, under a permit from the Federal Endangered Species Act of 1973, this group formed the nation's first habitat conservation plan, otherwise known as the HCP. The Habitat Conservation Plan is approximately 3,000 acres. It encompasses all of San Bruno Mountain State Park, as well as portions of Brisbane, Daly City, and South San Francisco. The HCP is intended to provide for the indefinite perpetuation of the butterflies and to protect habitat and funding for ongoing maintenance of such habitat so that portions of San Bruno Mountain may be devoted to urban uses, including, among others, residential, community service, commercial, and recreational uses. Phased development within the HCP lessens the biological impacts in any given season. And then the San Bruno Mountain Habitat Conservation Trust is made of board members that include the managers of the City of Brisbane, the City of Daly City, the City of South San Francisco, and the County of San Mateo. And so we're hoping after this presentation goes through council to host this somewhere, and all the links are clickable. So this is like a link that takes you to the official San Bruno Mountain HCP documents. The state of California government code requires that every city prepare an open space and action plan. And the city of Brisbane's general plan has an entire chapter dedicated to open space. And the general plan states the city of Brisbane will be a place where open space lands have been set aside to protect the natural environment. So now we're into the open space plan. The open space plan is not a regulatory document. It is intended to be a practical, comprehensive inventory and evaluation of the city's open space resources, including recommended preservation strategies. The mission statement for the open space plan is as follows: to plan for the provision of open space and natural resources for Brisbane residents, to identify and seek methods to protect, restore, and enhance natural habitats and connecting corridors, watercourses, scenic areas, and other significant open space resources, and to recommend strategies to improve public access to and around San Bruno Mountain and Brisbane Lagoon while paying attention to habitat protection. The open space plan was worked on for 2 years by the Open Space and Ecology Committee, and it was approved by City Council in August of 2001. There's a link in there that will take you to the open space plan. It's 100 and some pages, which you can read. But the basis of it is the open space plan identified 6 sub areas in Brisbane that have open space resources. The first is the Northeast Ridge. The Northeast Ridge was already approved and partially implemented the development when the open space plan was published, so it doesn't focus on that very much. The Northwest Bayshore, Sierra Point, Baylands, and Beatty sub areas all have been or expected to be developed as part of large-scale projects. Strategy for the preservation, creation, and restoration of open space in these sub areas is tied to the plan review process for the eventual development of these private properties. An overall objective in the sub areas is the establishment of routes for the Regional Bay Trail, local internal trails, and trails connecting west to central Brisbane and onto San Bruno Mountain Park and the Bay Area Ridge Trail. So within Northwest Bayshore is the Levinson parcel, and this parcel does have Mission Blue butterfly habitat. And there are site-specific details available in the Levinson Parcel Biological Resources Report, which is a couple dozen pages that spell out the nuances of the habitat on Levinson Parcel. The Brisbane Acres sub-area, which is where the Margaret tank is that we were just discussing, this contains the highest concentration of critical habitat in the city and will be the focus of the next section of our presentation. The Brisbane Acres residential zone is completely within the habitat conservation plan. There are many undeveloped lots among the steep upper streets referred to as the upper acres. And because these properties were never formally subdivided, the streets that are shown in most base maps, like on Google and the base map here on this Esri, these are substandard private roads parcels, and they're not public rights of way. And that would be the streets up above the tanks and these paper roads that look like little subdivisions. But this is a view from up in the upper acres, and you can see it's super steep, lots of canyons, and it'd be a really challenging topography to develop. But it's also borders, San Bruno Mountain State Park and is, prime butterfly habitat. And then there's a link to the zoning map. So the 2001 Open Space Plan analyzed the following criteria to establish a priority preservation area within the Brisbane Acres. They looked at location, landform, natural habitat, significant disturbances, public access, scenic and aesthetic conditions, cultural significance, recreational potential, and trail use, and then they came up with this priority preservation area. The city used its 2001 Open Space Plan to help acquire grants to purchase parcels within the priority preservation area. So currently there are 49 parcels owned by the city, all in the upper acres, 53 acres total. The total amount spent acquiring acres has been close to $3 million. 1.485 million was city funded and 1.135 million was grant funded. and $80,000 came from a settlement. The grant funded properties are deed restricted to open space, and in 2019, City Council passed a resolution to deed restrict the city funded properties as well, with the exception of the water tank sites. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has contributed $710,000 in grant money to help the city acquire 18 parcels. The Coastal Conservancy has granted the city $425,000 towards the purchase of another 11 parcels. The city used its own funds for the acquisition of 16 parcels, and this is in addition to the 4 lots that are already owned for water tank sites. 13 of these parcels were purchased before the 2001 open space plan was written. The city acquired 1 parcel as a donation, 1 parcel as a settlement, and 1 parcel as a result of a density transfer, which is a planning process where you can trade a lot for a higher density in another part of town. So today, as you can see, the amount of land the city now owns and manages is significant in relation to the size of the town. So going forward, we'll discuss how the city manages this. The parcels shown here in red are the city-owned canyons, and they are open space. They are managed by the city, but they were actually not part of the open space plan. So today, Osec has been a key to keeping environmental awareness and volunteer activism alive. And we've had lots of volunteer days since I've been part of it. And these volunteer days take place all over town. And they're really impressive how many people come out on a Saturday to pull weeds and to plant weeds. And I don't think there's ever been less than dozens of people in the 4 years or so that I've been participating in the volunteer days. Here's Ariel of San Bruno Mountain Watch. He's critical in making these happen. He brings his tools, knowledge, charisma, and expertise. Ecology and South San Francisco Scavenger have donated money to provide lunch and t-shirts for the participants. And here's a link to San Bruno Mountain Watch's website, which has a very well curated history that goes into much more detail about the mountain and all the happenings on the mountains over the years. Professionals, we were just talking about this. The city council funds annual habitat restoration specialists that help control invasive species on the parcels that the city owns in the upper acres. Here's a map that is part of the report that they give at the end of the year, where they go and they show us where they've mapped and which plants they've attacked, and they help formulate their plan for the following year. Here's a picture of some before work showing the scrub coming into the grassland, and the same parcel after they've done their thing. 2018, the city had English ivy removed from Firth and Sierra Point canyons, and native ferns came back in abundance as soon as the ivy was gone. It didn't take any replanting, so that was pretty awesome. And the picture here, the big picture in the background, that's Mark Heath on the right of On Point Land Management, and this was from the 2019 Picnics in the Weeds with the San Mateo County Weed Management Area, and everyone came out, took a tour of the mountain, and Mark explained all the recent vegetation work that they were doing up in the upper acres. So moving forward, currently city staff participate in the San Mateo County Natural Resources Coordination meetings, and those are the quarterly meetings that focus on all the happenings within the HCP. City Council also passed resolution number 2014-32, which designated lands in Brisbane to be part of the Association of Bay Area Governments Priority Conservation Area, otherwise known as a PCA. These PCAs are intended to identify lands of conservation significance that are broadly supported by public and local jurisdictions to be eligible for future PCA program funding. There's a link to the PCA documents. And Brisbane also signed on to the San Mateo Weed Management Area in 2020, and we are now on the steering committee. This countywide group of land managers, organized and funded by the Department of Agriculture, meets regularly to discuss projects, concerns, and grant opportunities related to invasive species. Brisbane's also now a member of the California Invasive Plant Council, a statewide nonprofit that provides science-based tools and information to help land managers and others make the best choices for California. Brisbane staff share the deep appreciation that residents have for the mountain. We're committed to the continued health of this special place. And of course, Ariel, he's always there to make sure that our volunteer days are a success. And so just wanted to end with a big thank you to the people of Brisbane for recognizing what a treasure this mountain is and for working so hard to preserve it. And that's the end of my presentation.
Nice job, Bob.
Excellent. Yay, Bob. Very
Thank you.
nice.
Good job, Bob.
Done a great job.
Yeah,
It's amazing to see the before and after photos. That
Yeah.
really was, you know.
yeah. And I think this photo is really impressive because
Yeah, I like that one.
it really puts in perspective how much it's a really good chunk of town that
Yeah.
it's a lot of area. So it's so
Do you know
anyway,
how much square foot that is in comparison to the, is it like 25% of the total town or?
it's 53 acres, so I don't think it's quite
Oh, yeah.
25%. And this photo cuts off all of Crocker Park and the Sierra Point and
Okay, yeah.
Baylands, but it's not an insignificant chunk.
When you look in Google on our land mass or the amount of square miles in Brisbane, please remember that a great deal of that is water, and our actual square miles of land in Brisbane is something like 3.9. So you know that the land part of Brisbane is not very big. So when you talk about, a lot of times it's very misleading when they talk about, oh, you know, people per capita by acreage and stuff, because a good portion of Brisbane is water. Matter of fact, more than half of Brisbane is water. Just point in fact, pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So maybe if possible, we'll socially distanced do the tour we wanted to do last summer and see basically what our vegetation management looks like and what they're doing on the ground and where, or at least part of it. We probably can't hike all those 53 acres, but section.
Can't remember, why did Adrian and we had a hike up there and it took us a while to get, we didn't do all of it. I don't remember what we were scoping. I think it was before the weed.
Scoping it out before the picnic in the weeds, maybe.
Yeah.
We were doing like making sure we knew where we were going to lead the group on the hike, make sure we were going to be able to get back down or something.
It was a Friday after work and we ended up scrambling down some goat trail because we weren't on our trail fizzled, but we made it home.
Don't take everybody that way.
Or no one else has had that happen.
Oh no, not at all. Never. I do not have stickers in my butt from doing that so many times in my life.
All right, well.
Right. Well, thanks, Bob.
You're welcome. And hopefully we'll put that on the website somewhere because it's fun. You can click around and play with the maps and the links and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be great.
And Bob, it's so appreciated that you attend the weed management group and the natural resources group. I mean, everyone was always like, oh, and Bob. Everyone adores you. And thank you for your hard work. You've done a really good job and you're a great ambassador for Brisbane.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
You're welcome. I've got more about that coming up.
Okay.
Staff updates.
So yeah, staff update.
Scheduled to present this to council on April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Oh, good to know. I thought it was April 8th. I'll change my calendar.
Wait, am I wrong?
I don't know.
I hope it's not April 1st. That's my wedding anniversary. And I want to be there for your presentation, Bob. Oh, even if it's soon.
April 1st would be the first Thursday of the month. They are usually the first and third Thursday.
Okay.
So unless they changed it.
Well, Michelle, maybe Dan will understand. You can just watch from your pocket during dinner.
I had a question. I think it was like a year ago, we recommended something to the city council about it would take a full vote of the council to take something out of the,
You, speaking of the declaration of use restriction,
yeah, sorry, I got a little bit of a headache and I've had kind of a rough day. So I'm like having a bit trouble putting my sentences together here. But yes, you got it, Karen. Thank you for saving me from flailing around like a dead fish.
that is what, yeah, first checking that. That's what Bob did mention that in his scrolling through that the grant funded acres are deed restricted by those grants. And we asked council to adopt a plan to deed restrict all of them, which would take, and I don't remember if it was a vote of all or 4 or 5 or a majority to undo that. We could look back on that information that was brought to council. So there was a little bit of a lag to do that. And then all those deeds had to be located. So that's in process.
Okay, good. Well, I mean, you know, sometimes when we don't hear anything for a year, it's hard to know if it just kind of fizzled or what. So I'm glad to hear that it's still moving along there in the background. That's really gratifying. Thank you, Karen.
We don't mind being reminded by you guys.
No, there's supporting documents and everything to go along with it. So it's past the conversation phase and just getting worked through with the deeds actually being restricted officially, but it's official, I would say.
Great. Okay, shall we move into staff updates? Put the agenda back up.
Okay, are you seeing?
Yep, thanks, Adrian.
Oh, you are. Okay, good. I think, Bob, I may have put your slide first. I did.
Okay, so these just showed up on my desk. So I have a nice box of flyers from San Mateo County's weed management area. And anyway, it's their new brochure of noxious weeds, but it's on the first page. I thought I'd take a picture. It's got our favorite French broom, our second favorite gorse, and it's got jubata and pampas grass. So all of our faves are showing up. And so anyway, we can keep those around. And I know that we still have the ones from Mountain Watch that they put together, but it's nice that everyone's still focusing on it. So
Bob, do you how big of a supply did you get?
Plenty big. I don't know, a shoebox full or more.
Oh,
Okay, I'll take some, and if you have also some more of the ones that we did together with Mountain Watch and Open Space and Elena Court, I would take more of those if you had them as well. We've been doing some tabling here and there, socially distanced, and the brochure that we prepared with Elena Court and Osec and Mountain Watch is really an excellent brochure and still very, very relevant. So if you have more of those, we'll take them.
Okay,
I know that there is a large box of them at my desk. So Bob, if you're in at City Hall and you want to ping me to tell you where to find them,
yeah,
direct you to them.
So I will drop those off. Maybe not tomorrow if that's okay, but next time I'm in, next week.
Okay. You know my address. Don't drop them at Mary's house.
Or you can drop them off at mine. That's fine too.
I'm not very good at that, Mary. I'll just.
That's okay.
I got Michelle's house dialed. Mary's not so much.
Okay. I'm right around the corner pretty much. So
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Mary.
Welcome.
thank you.
We're getting to City Hall being open for the 4 hours on Monday and Thursday, starting next week too. Just FYI.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put a small stack out on the table where we have the other brochures, but I think they'll. There's plenty to keep back. Yeah, we'll keep some back for. There's plenty to go around. They sent a generous sized box.
That's great. Any other staff updates?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know, Karen, do you want to go? Or you want Nyla and I to go?
I didn't look at your list, so you go, and I don't want to say anything that you might say.
Okay, well, I think one of mine might lead to some discussion. So I'm going to have Nyla go first with the building efficiency program updates, and then I'll go.
Hello. Just a reintroduction. I'm Nyla, working with the City of Brisbane, Climate Corps Fellow. So some of the updates in terms of the building efficiency program is we have a webinar coming up on March 25th to inform, it's the next step in the process in terms of getting the buildings benchmarked. That'll be at 1 p.m. We also have a RICAPS presentation at March 23rd, excuse me. And we'll be wrapping up our contract with the Energy Coalition towards the end of March, early April. And we'll be completing the Bay Area Air Quality Management Grant as well. So over the next few weeks, we'll be focusing on outreach and to building owners and working on a toolkit for them as well. That's all for me.
Awesome.
So for my part, I wanted to note that on tomorrow's City Council meeting, the consent agenda, there will be a EV charging station permit streamlining item. That is actually something that came up at a previous RICAPS meeting that we invited one of our senior planners, Ken Johnson, to, and he was able to take that and run with it. It's a state requirement, and we were largely compliant already, but it's just kind of putting into, making official what our process already was. I am going to be participating as one of the lightning round presentations from local sustainability managers in a Sustainable San Mateo County happy hour next week on the 23rd, called Spring into Action, Local Governments and Residents Nurturing Sustainability. So if anybody's interested in hearing that, it'll be all familiar updates from me, but there will be some other folks from I believe it's the county, Burlingame, and Half Moon Bay, who are also going to be speaking, and then there will be some breakout discussions. Have a little update on SB 1383 per Barbara's request. I had I think it was a 3-hour-long webinar last week on the requirements. So Randy and Teresa are actually covering the portion on the container requirements. I will be working with the county, who is taking the lead on the edible food requirements. So we are expecting to learn more about how we'll be managing that with them, and there will probably be an MOU with the county at some point in time in that regard. And then I will also be covering some of the other procurement requirements. Fortunately, we have Scavenger creating RNG, renewable natural gas, from our compost in their anaerobic digester. So that's going to cover a large part of our requirements, but we may need to fill the gaps with compost or mulch. So we are talking with other public works staff to make sure those purchases are going to be compliant with the requirements to help meet those needs. And then a final piece is that we need to ensure that all of the city's paper procurement includes a minimum recycled content. And so that's, copy paper as well as paper towels and toilet paper and folders and the whole 9 yards. And we'll also need to be tracking some records. So that will, I believe most of our purchases already are, but we need to, make sure and start tracking that. Fortunately, the effective date for all of these requirements is still a little bit away on January 1st, 2022. So we have some time to get prepared this year, but there are quite a number of requirements under that. So that is that update. And then the next update is the one I think might involve some discussion. And that is that we have learned that the city is still not planning to be hosting any in-person events. So we will not be able to have an in-person habitat restoration day. And so I have an alternate proposal for us for how we can celebrate Earth Day. Those of you who have been on the committee for a while, especially the CAP subcommittee, will probably remember that around this time last year, we were planning on hosting a Climate Jeopardy event. And it was going to be an in-person event, and we had to cancel it because of the shutdown. But I do believe it's an event that would work very well virtually. I actually participated on a webinar last summer that did a Jeopardy style game virtually, and it was very fun and worked very well. And so my recommendation is that we move forward with that as a way for us to celebrate Earth Day, and do that during our usual meeting time in April. Invite community members to join us to play Climate Jeopardy, have that broadcast, and yeah, not quite the Earth Day habitat restoration we normally have, but at least it's a way that we can still invite community members to celebrate with us. So would love to get your feedback on that, because we have Caroline kind of standing by waiting to run this in the STAR, and she needs to know. We've already gotten her to hold off on sending that to production so that we could get your feedback in and hopefully nod of approval to go forward with that plan.
So this would take place instead of our meeting, or?
That was going to be my recommendation. We did not have currently any plan for what would be on the April agenda, and it seemed like a good opportunity to broadcast talking about the climate action plan. I see Jason has a hand.
I would second your plan. I think it seems like a fun way to present it. I haven't seen it done, but I've seen Jeopardy, and this seems like a really fun, informative way, fun way to do something informative. I think it's brilliant.
Fun.
We still have all the questions and stuff that we put together last year when we were working on this. I mean,
Yes, I did not throw those away. I made to keep all of that, and that was one of the reasons why I thought that this would be doable on a slightly shorter time frame, is that we did already write. It looks like we had about enough questions for one round of Jeopardy. So I think the question was, is that sufficient? And my hope would be that maybe, I know we already have a CAP subcommittee meeting scheduled for next week. So hopefully that could be our first agenda item, would be to revisit that and do any additional planning needed at that meeting to make sure that we would be ready. Yeah.
Follow up. I'm a little bit surprised at the city, because outdoor events are supposed to be reasonably safe. So I'm kind of surprised that we can't do a habitat restoration day. So I'm wondering, do you have any idea of when the city might be prepared to contemplate something like that? Are we going to miss the rainy season altogether?
I'm not sure that I'm in a position to answer that, because I was not directly involved in those conversations.
Okay.
When you say miss the rainy season, do you mean
Yeah, I mean,
winter or the one we're in?
The one that we're not having right now?
I meant the plan.
In the fall?
No, I mean the one we're having right now,
Oh.
lasting fairly late. And, conceivably we could do some planting next month, but it sounds like that's not in the cards.
Yeah, I'm guessing we would miss that. Everything that staff is hearing is that management or council wants to be pretty conservative about having people gather. And, we've seen that in some other facilities and some other uses, but it's sort of a better safe than sorry, I think. That's the feeling that we're getting.
Okie doke.
Okay. Michelle?
Actually, on Habitat, the county is starting to have volunteer groups with 10 at a time, socially distanced, and breaking it up into 2 sessions so that you can actually have 20 people working, 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon. And Mountain Watch is doing the same, and it's all socially distanced. And I really wish that we would participate or help to participate on April 24th for a modified Habitat Day. It requires people to sign up in advance. They have to fill out the volunteer form and sign up in advance, and you know how many people are coming, you know how many slots you have a planned out area. And I would just really like to see us do that, especially something pretty spread out and easy to do, like broom pulling off of Trinity, or something like that, that where you really can be socially distanced and gets a lot of really good work done. So I don't know if the city would reconsider the appetite for that or not, or if open space and ecology, at least we can, support it. So I don't think we're going to have trouble getting 20 volunteers. And no t-shirts, no porta potties, no lunch, none of that stuff. Just let's go out and do some work.
We can ask again. Sorry, go ahead, Ross.
I was gonna say, I mean, I don't think we can stick.
Sorry,
our
I was just gonna note, Shauna had her hand raised, so.
Oh,
Sorry, I forgot about that.
Sorry about that. My question actually backed up a little bit. If we do this climate Jeopardy for the entire Osec meeting next time, then are we not going to talk about the subcommittees and the reorganization, which we had pushed back another month, or?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. So we would have to push that to May because there's not gonna be enough time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting that because I was expecting to have that conversation today. I think, we could discuss whether we wanted to have any other Osec business along with the Climate Jeopardy, either before or after the actual event. I was not planning on having anything of significance because I think that would make it a very long evening. But that would be my recommendation, would be to put that off, put the reorg off until May, if that would be acceptable to everyone.
I'm good with putting it off till May, to be honest. I mean, we're still in shutdown mode. We pretty much have, I don't think there was any major events coming up in May anyway, or in April anyway. So, and climate change is important. And I think we should just dedicate the meeting to Jeopardy, climate change Jeopardy.
Ross had his hand at the next one.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Oh, right. I think until it would be nice to do an in-person cleanup, but I think until the city council lifts the ban on in-person gatherings, like we would be prohibited from having anything to do with that, I'm assuming, right?
so I'm getting, up to the moment, advice that we could tentatively plan something, and if we got to the yellow tier, we could probably.
Okay, so we could get ready for it.
So the other thing with that though is April 24th was the day that Ariel could do it. So Ariel has the standing permit with San Mateo County to do any habitat work within the HCP.
Oh.
And whether it's on Monarch Drive, that's in the HCP. So we need Ariel present. And so city staff was trying to get ahead of this just to see what would possibly work. So with that limited to 10 people, and then Ariel said he was already planning then to have an event at Buckeye Canyon. It just didn't seem, if he's able to generate 10 people through Mountain Watch, then that's the cap anyway. So for us to try and get involved when the city still hasn't promoting events was a.
I'm suggesting we partner and go for a morning and afternoon session in Buckeye and do, 10 and 10. That makes 20. That's twice as much work. That's twice as much fun.
My question was.
Not already what Ariel is doing though.
So just later in the day.
So what would? I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're suggesting is how it would be any different than what Ariel is already going to be doing. So.
Because we would really work to have 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. We'd support it financially and support it with PR through the city PR things that we do, and say we can't get at least 2 sessions, and we may even be able to fit in 3 sessions in one day. It would be exhausting, but we could do it. Or have actually 30 people participate, 10 in the early morning, 10 at 9, 10 at noon, 10 at 3.
Well, my question was, like, should we be, if the city council doesn't want to have anything in person yet, should we be doing anything like that until they lift that restriction?
I think what they're talking about, Ross, is, you know, gathering. What we're talking about is habitat work in, you know, separated, just organized.
So how do
with under
we
permit.
clarify if they would be, I guess, cranky?
Amenable, I think that that would be up to Karen and Adrian to reach out to them and see whether they would permit us to do this.
And what I just said was I am made to understand that if we were to get San Mateo County got to the yellow tier, then we could have an event like you described.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we're already at
It has to
orange
happen
tier.
after the yellow tier.
But we could plan it and then with the caveat that we have to be in the yellow tier to do it.
Okay, that seems reasonable.
Great. Yeah.
Well, we've always had great turnout in the past, and Ariel's already planning on being out there. So, Michelle, we'll keep our eye on things. And staff was open to it, and we know how much you want to get back out on the mountain.
Yeah.
We really do. And staff also wants to get back to normal. So, if we are able to pull stuff together pretty quick, so if it looks like we're being the yellow tier by then, in the past, we've had 40 people show up, so I don't think it'd be a stretch to have 10, even if it's kind of a late promotion.
It would have to be, you'd have to RSVP for the event and
I
show
see
up.
hands from Jason and Karen.
Yeah, I haven't been involved in one of these before, but is it possible to do an early and a middle section and do the Jeopardy at night also? And that way, if the work gets canceled or not approved, at least there's something on the boards to do, you know, and it wouldn't just be the whole days off, because we are likely to be in a better tier by then. Is that possible, or is it just too damn much for one day?
They wouldn't be on the same day.
It's not.
The Climate Jeopardy that I was proposing would be at our usual meeting time, which would be Wednesday, April 21st, and the habitat restoration would take place on the Saturday. So I think if folks are wanting us to go ahead with Climate Jeopardy, so that we ensure that we have some kind of Earth Day celebration, I think that, you know, is, as I said, halfway planned already. So we could probably do that and then, you know, see if we can proceed with planning an Earth Day event. I don't think we're going to have anything in the star about it, but you know, when we have, if we have the ability to do that, then we could promote it through other channels, perhaps.
Sounds good.
Glenn?
That's exactly what my hand.
Sorry, Karen.
Exactly what my hand was up about. It's not going to get in the star, but we could promote an event, you know, put it together in the next week or two and say, you will, you know, you have to RSVP and you will get confirmation if we get to the yellow tier in time, but we can take those reservations before we're actually at.
Sounds good. Glenn?
I'm going to suggest that for Climate Jeopardy, I wonder if it would be better if we started that at 7 o'clock. 6:30 is kind of an odd time for a lot of people. They might, I'm just thinking that the general public might rather do it after dinner rather than in sort of the middle of dinner time.
I'm open to that if the rest of the group is. I'm seeing some.
Yeah, I'm good with 7.
I mean, it kind of depends on how long it's going to run because you don't want it to be too late either.
Right.
So I think I would recommend that we have the CAP subcommittee, you know, plan the details, and we can try to work through how long it would last in that way, whether we have just 1 round of Jeopardy, 2 rounds of Jeopardy. The other question that I had that I should have probably started with is when we originally started conceiving this plan last year, Beth Grossman was involved and was planning to do a brief climate reality presentation. I think we should go ahead and promote this as Climate Jeopardy since we need to make a decision right away. And if folks want to invite Beth to still give a presentation on that day, we could do that. Otherwise, we could, you know, try to work with her to do that presentation some other time at some other event.
Glenn?
I could also do a presentation if Beth is unavailable, doesn't want to do it. I could talk for a few minutes. I was going to ask you, Adrian, how soon does Carolyn need to know enough to publish this? That's why I brought up the time now.
She basically already has this graphic, which we will have to have either her or Bob edit the time on, and she's planning to send this to print tomorrow. So I need to let her know, like tonight or first thing tomorrow morning, that it's okay to run or needs to be tweaked, and then it will run tomorrow. So yeah.
We need to decide about the time now because the time is on there.
Sometimes she watches our meetings to make sure that it's broadcasting effectively. So she may be, I've seen a text from her, but she may be watching to find out now.
So should we decide about that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on that or?
Well, I know we did like a run through when we were going to do this, but I really don't have any memory of how long we came up with. I'm kind of, I think it would be either Adrian or Glenn. Either of you remember, have any clue?
How long? I don't think we got that far, but I think we can
Manage it to what?
that out a little bit at our CAP subcommittee meeting last week. I did just go to check my email to see if I had anything from Caroline and see that we have an attendee, Erin Becker, who sent a comment for another Earth Day idea. I'm watching the Osec meeting via Zoom now. Another good way for Osec to honor Earth Day might be to have Barbara's compost distribution at around the same time. Just a thought. I'm not sure. The compost is very dependent on scavenger, and when they are able to deliver a finished load of compost, I will be in touch with Teresa and see what the timing can be on that. I don't know if we'll be able to get it around Earth Day or not, but I can begin looking into that.
Nice idea.
Yes, thank you, Erin.
Andres,
Thank you, Aaron.
So I make a motion that we do the climate Jeopardy, that we start the game at 7, but that we welcome people to come at 6:45.
Second motion.
Can we welcome people at 6:30? I mean, I think it would just be really nice to have people kind of hanging around and chatting. And, you know, it took me 20 minutes to sort out my computer this evening. So I think 15 minutes feels like it's cutting it a little close to me, but that's just my opinion. If everybody else wants to go with Michelle, I'm cool with that.
Good with 6:30. You know, people can come at 6:30 and party and discuss the climate change, and the game starts promptly at 7. I think that would be good.
Agree.
Good idea, Barbara.
Yeah, I agree with Barbara.
Thanks. So we have a motion. So I think a motion and a second. So all in favor, Michelle?
Aye.
Glenn?
Yes.
Barbara?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye, aye.
Shanna?
Aye.
And Ross?
Aye.
Okay, great. So the April 21st OSEC meeting will be starting at 6:30 for a gathering. And then Jeopardy will start at 7 o'clock. Perfect. Okay, any other staff updates?
those are all of yours, Adrian.
I think so. I tried to leave that one for last because I thought it would be a discussion. Yes, that's all I had.
Thank you.
I just have a couple things. I don't think I talked about this last time, that the developer that owns the narrow private portion of Tunnel Avenue did a little bit of maintenance and restriped the center line. And then we had requests from cyclists to paint an edge line and to clearly identify that you would have, that bikes could be on that narrow portion of the road. So they did come back and paint the edge line, and we're going to install, you know, we batted around ideas with staff, but we're going to install signs that say bikes allowed full use of the lane, so that motorists know that bikes are there and the bicyclists know where that edge line is, because there is a drop off, you know, there's a ditch in some places next to it. And it's a little hard to see without an edge line painted in dawn and dusk and in dark. So it's kind of, we think it's not a big deal, but in the interim, before we actually get significant bike lanes out there with the development. It's making it a little bit safer for bicyclists over there. And you didn't mention, but we put in the application for the 4Rs County grant to get a water bottle filling station in the police department because they don't have any easy access to running water on their ground floor of their department. They have locker rooms in the upstairs, but they have to come over to the city hall side. So we want them to really conveniently go and fill the water bottles and have cold water when they're out on patrol, etc. And then we had a recent meeting with Peninsula Clean Energy about Mission Blue, and they studied resiliency and solar plus storage to be able to have that open as a shelter if we had a power outage in an emergency. And there was some refinement that had to go into that, but they're hoping to facilitate, or they're still trying to figure out on their end how they will support it, but possibly facilitate like a group purchasing or a group request for proposals. So more to come on that, into whether we move down the road, but at least we're looking into it.
Any comments on Michelle? You're on mute. Okay.
Sorry, I'm not that fast on clicking that thing. I do have a question for staff. I know that we're working really hard to make all of the city facilities as environmentally as they can be. And I had someone ask me about solar panels on the new library. And they asked me, are there solar panels on the new library? You can see it from your house. And I looked and I'm not seeing them. So are there plans to do solar on the library? I know the library's not quite finished yet and there's been a lot of, up and down, but do you know whether we're planning to do that? And is there a way that we can ask to plan to do that?
My understanding is that there are not plans imminently to do it, but that it was built solar ready. So it would be easy to do so when we have that additional funding and are ready to do that project.
I'm just kind of wondering why it wasn't included. I think I didn't even think about it or ask about it during the planning phase because it seemed like well, of course it is. I mean, residential, and I thought definitely mixed use is required to have at least 1 kilowatt of solar. So I kind of somehow thought that would, I mean, Brisbane being Brisbane, I just assumed that was going to be on there.
I think because the contractor, they have it solar ready, but we would want to work with a solar efficiency group to actually put the solar panels on. I think that would be my thinking on that. Perhaps you guys know better than I do. But
I mean, that's fine and all, but I mean, I'm just surprised that it's not included in the project.
It probably would have added more to the project dollar amount than what we had anticipated. And it is better to get it done by people who are professional solar panel installers.
Yeah, I'm not, that's not what I'm saying at all. I mean, we all agreed that we would have a solar installer do the solar. And yes, solar panels add money up front, but usually they cost out and save money over time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's solar ready. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah, the project may have started for our own, our own requirements were put in place, but I did have a part in reviewing the HVAC and the energy efficiency, and it's very energy efficient. Decision at New Brisbane Library was to do a demonstration rainwater harvesting project. So maybe it's energy efficient, and then with the funds that could have gone one way or the other, that was.
And I think it has a lot of natural light, right? So.
Yeah, the HVAC and the lighting is very energy efficient.
Yeah.
Well,
So the upside, it's solar panel ready. We just probably need to find the funds to add those panels when needed or whenever we can.
I'm pretty sure that project came through after we updated our solar requirements. And maybe I'm misremembering the ordinance, but
I believe that project was already approved before I started working for the city, so I'm not sure. But I know that we had a reach code before the latest reach code that we just did in 2019. So I'm not sure how the timing on those went.
Yeah, and I mean, efficiency, of course, efficiency is what you do first, right? You try and get your footprint under control before you fill in the remaining bucket with PV, but it doesn't, there's nothing about being super efficient that precludes putting solar panels on a building.
No, I wasn't trying to say that.
No, it's something somebody else, somebody said something was like,
No, I think I did say that, but and
No,
we're
no,
also
you-
buying 100% Peninsula Clean Energy, 100% renewable energy, so.
yeah, I mean, I guess if that's the route we want to go, then that's fine.
We're hearing from Peninsula Clean Energy that they're really interested in getting batteries on board, and solar is, just shifting that peak to the evenings even more.
Alrighty, so it's almost 8 o'clock and we need to get through subcommittee reports. I don't know if there's any other staff updates, but if not, let's move on. Okay. Open space.
We haven't met. This presentation going to council is, we feel like it's laying a good foundation to then bring them further items about this, like new council members, Clark Conway retiring, some of that institutional knowledge. We were asked to do this because some of that institutional knowledge is leaving, and some of the council members have a lot less knowledge about the open space plan and the Brisbane acres the city has bought than other ones. So we're going to do this, and then that's kind of laying a good foundation to bring the next step. So that's a meeting I guess we should be getting towards having. We wanted to hear that you guys were happy with this presentation, and then do the next step.
I'm sorry, I may have missed it, but when is that presentation going to be shown to council?
April Fool's Day.
Oh,
April
okay.
1st.
Thank you.
Karen, can we go ahead though and get like a little subcommittee meeting going so we have a plan of action?
Yeah.
I'd really like that. We've been holding off on that. So if we could do that in the next month, that would be awesome. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks. Climate action plan?
Yeah, we usually meet before Osec, and I really love that, but for some reason we got scheduled, I guess something got busy or something, and we got scheduled after Osec, so we're meeting next week. Boo.
Okay, great. Events.
Can I say something on events?
Oh, yes.
Since I'm hoping that we'll be in the yellow tier soon, we're in orange tier now. Ooh, moving right up the rainbow. Can we go ahead and try to schedule a June or July Habitat Restoration Day and get it on the calendar?
I'm totally in agreement. It's not my subcommittee, but I'd like to just put it on the calendar. If we have to cancel it, we have to cancel it, but let's start moving forward.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Thank you.
Here.
So the dates I would love to look at is maybe, I don't know, June 19th, because it's around the summer solstice, or, later in June, before July. Hopefully they'll, could Adrian and Karen, could you guys and Bob check your calendars, maybe check Ariel's calendar, and let's get a date on the calendar so that we can have something to look forward to. And if we have to cancel, we have to cancel. Or if we have to do it socially distanced, we have to do it socially distanced. But if we calendar it, then maybe it'll actually happen. Love that.
Right. It doesn't hurt to put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
So
And then the other thing on events was that we were going to start the Recycled Arts and Crafts contest this year early.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we still have that what's the plan on that, and when we're going to go ahead and kick that off. Are we going to discuss that under calendar, or what? Where are we at with that?
I had that on the calendar to, we discussed launching it for Earth Day, but since we had not actually discussed it and we were already kind of scrambling to get an Earth Day event into the STAR, I figured we could work on that to launch through the city email blast around Earth Day, perhaps, and we'd have it promote it in the May STARs.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get that on the calendar for doing that. Because I think the sooner people start and the sooner they start collecting stuff and getting excited about it, the better. And it's a really good follow-on, especially since some of the art from some of the projects will be presented, I guess, in the Artist Evening of Sharing that's coming up. So it's really good to like get people excited and then follow on with it. So that'd be great, Adrian. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we'll put that on the calendar. Education and outreach. I mean, I don't have any updates since the last meeting we had, which was primarily focused on garbage, right? And litter.
Yeah.
Glenn, did you have anything to add?
No. Not really.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make a comment. So I put in multiple go requests to pick up garbage, and they've been, as long as it's in the Brisbane jurisdiction, they've been good about doing that. However, I'm hoping, Karen, and you have contacts with County of San Mateo, but there seems to be a lot of garbage in those man-made skate parks that are on the County of San Mateo property down at the end of the quarry. So there's a lot of broken bottles and just garbage. I mean, even if we could just get a garbage can out there, that may help, because there isn't a garbage can. I went and took a look at that. There is not. In addition, a few yards further down on the same side where the V ditch is, I put in a go request because we found bags of concrete, and it looked like someone was building a skate ramp, and they are building a skate ramp because they put up rebar. Someone's making a skate ramp, that is definite. So actually Michelle and I took a walk down there. I wanted to show her. I said, I'm not going crazy, right? This is a skate ramp and it's in the V ditch. And so someone needs to get out there and from the County of San Mateo, I know that we can't do anything, but they're building a ramp, and I don't know how that is going to affect. I don't think it will affect the performance of the V ditch, but I mean, it's illegal, right? So.
Have you tried to use C-Click Fix? I thought we.
No, I didn't do that. Maybe I should try that. Okay.
The other concern, I was going to say the other concern with that is that there's new tire tracks on Owl Plain, where they've taken a truck in there and bypassed the kind of gate that was the fencing or whatever that was there. And there's new, wheelie tracks on Owl Plain and stuff like that. Kind of, I don't know if it's the same people, but it's right next to the where they're building the ramp and the sandbox that they have there.
Yeah, that's a man-made sandbox as well.
Yeah,
I'll email out the contact info for San Mateo County Public Works if you want to follow up.
Yes,
thanks, Bob. That would be great.
I tried calling
Hannah
Fish and Wildlife.
Hannah
Fish and Wildlife, but I got stuck in some phone loop, and then I just gave up. I got frustrated. But in the meantime, this skate ramp is still underway. Anyway, just FYI.
Is that in the state Fish and Wildlife part?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, so then the county wouldn't be the contact.
Okay.
Karen, it's in the V ditch that is on the west side of Quarry Road, going up to the quarry. It's just a little bit before you get to the quarry gates. It's that wide V ditch that where quarry used to drain through.
Right, and everyone calls it. It's been called the ad hoc skate park.
No, that's what I thought Mary was talking about.
Yeah.
But no, it's further up the road, in the actual V ditch, not in the drainage area that comes off of Owl Plain. It's the actual V ditch further up that's about halfway between that ad hoc quote unquote skate park and the quarry gates.
Yeah, just keep walking up and you'll see it on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
now
new, it's a new project.
Yeah. And now there's 4 bags of solid concrete sitting
Concrete.
there because they got wet.
Oh,
Actually, Karen, if you take a look, I don't know if you have access to the Go request, but I can send you the number where I provided pictures of the
Okay.
concrete when it was in garbage bags. And then I got a response saying, no, that belongs to the county, so we can't pick it up. So that concrete was being used to build, you know, along with the rebar, a new skate ramp.
Yeah.
So,
And I have photographs now too. I can
Yeah.
text you
Yeah.
if you want. Just
I
what you
can,
want
I
me
can
to
look at Go
text.
request, yeah.
yeah, could take a look. Okay, so enough on that. Invasive species ordinance, any updates on that subcommittee?
Nice article, Glenn.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah, you did an excellent job, Glenn.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
and Michelle did an excellent job on the night skies article too.
No, Adrian did an excellent job editing what I wrote.
Oh, okay.
It was a collaborative affair. It would have been 3 times as long and taken up the entire star if we had, well, it's called the star. What the hell? If we'd printed what I wrote. But thank you, Adrian, for your assist on that. But on the invasive species ordinance, can we schedule a meeting and take some next steps on this?
Yes, Bob and I just met recently and talked through background to get ready to have that meeting. So I'm gonna
Okay.
see if you guys have time next week.
Okay.
Okay, dark skies ordinance?
We have not met, but the survey and the article went out. So I think we should probably meet fairly soon so that we can go over the feedback from the survey.
It's closing.
April 1st.
April 1st. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it closes April 1st. So let's schedule something. Adrian, can you send out an email to schedule something for maybe the second or the first week of April?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Next, Sierra Point Park Planning. I don't know if there's any updates.
Nothing's happened on that yet.
Okay, thank you. Crocker Trail Master Plan. FYI, the consulting group showed us the final plan, which will be presented to council tomorrow evening. So if everybody has time to attend, you will find, I think you will have a smile on your face after. The plan is very thoughtful, very natural, and looking forward to moving ahead on that. Next, tree
Hang
issues.
on.
Oops, sorry.
Did you say final plan? I think it's a draft.
Draft, I'm sorry, draft, thank you.
Even though it seems like we've been doing a draft for a long
I know.
time.
So
And then
it's
they're
a
gonna get council
subject
feedback and then
approval, right?
finalize it.
So a draft subject to approval. But it looks great, guys. So next, committee tree issues. Barbara, thank you. I got the information from Adrian that you provided on all the trees that were removed and not replaced, or not replaced with like trees. And so what I'm going to do, it was in Word, so I'm going to create a matrix of some sort to include with the actual tree advisory committee document. So it could be easily identified what areas we need to focus on. But thank you for the information.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably, I mean, if you want to do it, that's fine. Were you thinking like a spreadsheet or something?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Maybe summarize it by block. Right. I don't know. The category and the block, the street name and the category. Because you had like 3 or 4 different sections.
Yeah, I kind of broke it out into categories.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I just they were random within the categories, but it could be alphabetized or by street or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just looking at it, I need to assemble it a little bit. So it's easier to identify where our issues are.
Mary, once you do that, should we schedule a subcommittee meeting and
Yes.
actually sit down and go over
Yes.
it with Karen and?
Yep, I will do
Cameron.
You're
that.
reading my mind.
Okay, I'll do that. So just give me a little time. I'll probably work on it next week, and then I'll just email you guys for a meeting. I'll just pick a couple of days, and you guys can get back to me, and then we'll just schedule it. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds
thank
good.
You. Thank you. Next committee, Festival Tree. As we all know, we had a subcommittee, right, with Park and Rec. And we talked about the festival tree, and there was a couple of different views, and some didn't want to replace the tree and some did. And we all came to an agreement that we would replace the tree. Michelle and I have agreed to go down and put a stake in the ground as to where we think it should go. Probably similar, Michelle, I don't know if you want to speak to it, but closer to where it was. The dead tree, right? Closer to the dead tree. Am I right?
Just don't break any irrigation while you're there with the
Yeah, right.
stake.
Yes.
Oh dear.
The former, now dead, potential future new festival tree, that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Mary and I have a field trip. We're going to probably do it sometime in the next week. Go down there and put a stake in the ground.
Yes.
When you guys do that, I'd love to run my eyes past it. I'm a pretty proficient gardener.
Of course.
Thank you.
I think that was
And
the
then-
plan, right?
Yeah.
Anybody else? Yeah.
The plan was to put a stake in the ground and have everybody, because it's a
Take a look.
group discussion.
Yeah.
Choose a location by committee. A little update from David Tree. They're still out trying to source a tree. We'd also talked about that the target is to plant in the fall at the beginning of the next rainy season. And if we did find a suitable tree, that we would put that tree on layaway, or, you pay the nursery to grow that tree till you're ready to plant it. And he's still looking at that. He's still consulting with other staff and their scientists and making sure that he's recommending good trees for us. So, he's not the fastest guy out of the gate, but I'll get you something.
And you did tell him that we're not looking at a tree as big as the last one.
Smaller tree, Northern California sourced.
Thanks.
Conifer.
Thank you.
Shauna had her hand up. I'm not sure how long that has been, Shauna. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Is I was going to ask that put a smaller tree in and let it grow. You're really going to have a lot better luck with it. I never install anything bigger than a 24-inch box. And it just, it's just a waste of money, quite frankly. It's Instagrat, but you're going to just keep spending money on trees.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, we just had a protracted conversation with Osec about this, and with input from the community, as we understood. And in the past couple of years, we've gotten a lot of feedback that the deodar cedar, is suffering. It's got wind damage on one side. It's not going to live along to be ready with the next tree. So that's why we ended up choosing a bigger tree, is that it would be able to step in sooner. And then what happened when that one died, and people, I guess more of the community sort of understood the goal, is that we heard from the faction that said, we love our Charlie Brown tree, we don't need a new tree. So now the revised plan is, let's just plant another tree that could potentially serve as a holiday tree, and it'll grow slowly, and it's there in the background. But it's not so urgent to the community as the understanding had been a couple of years before, that we didn't find out until we planted something that really are attached to that other tree.
Did they actually, did an arborist actually look at the deodar cedar? Or was it just some random person that said, well, maybe that tree isn't doing so well. It's not going to live.
It was an arborist.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, Sean Sweeney was the first person who called it out to us. I actually had my hand up.
Yes, I was about to call on you.
I was going to say that, it's going to be like till May before we reassign on the subcommittees. But, if Shauna wants to take my place on this committee with her experience, I'm fine with that. I can help Mary drive a stake in the ground, but then, Shauna, if you want to take my place on the festival tree, with your experience, I'm fine with that. Absolutely fine with that. And so that you could be involved in this at this point, because we can't have more than 3 people on a subcommittee. Is that appropriate, Adrian, Karen? I mean, I love being on it, but you know what? I've been on it and I'm happy to share in the joy, Shauna. And you have obviously a lot of experience in this area.
We should wait till May, guys. I think we should.
Yeah, it's sort of inactive right now, I feel like. And
yeah.
And Michelle, you were one of the drivers originally, so.
I know. I feel like I crashed into a wall. And Shauna does have experience in this area, so we'll keep that in mind. Then, if you have feedback, Shauna, don't hesitate to tell me. Tell any of us, okay?
That's good.
People coming up to me like, "What's with the tree?" And I'm like, "I'm not on that committee. I don't know."
You will be.
Okie doke. Benchmarking ordinance, Ross?
Am I the only one left on that now?
It was you and Carl.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Has anything happened? I know that there was information that was sent out and that's underway. I don't think I've been involved in anything that's happened with that super recently.
No, I wonder if it would make sense. We kind of spun this off for a while from the CAP subcommittee. I wonder if it would make sense to just officially move this back under the CAP subcommittee, because it's mostly been coming under staff updates lately anyhow.
That seems like a much better idea, yeah.
From our list. Okay. If we have anything that needs, committee input in between full OSEC meetings, I think the CAP subcommittee is well equipped, and Ross, you're already on that as well. So
plus, then it would be more than just me, which would be awesome.
Okay. And then lastly, the Libman Science Fair judging. And so Barbara and we got an email from Bob Detmer that they were still holding the science fair. It was via Zoom, but they provided the student presentations beforehand, which Barbara and I both had a chance to review and pick the winners. Just a little background, they had 35 students started the project, and they ended up with only 11 participants. So of the 11, 2 of the presentations were focused on the environment. And Barbara, would you like to say anything, or do you just want me to tell them the winners?
Oh, shoot. I really should have opened up that email with the name.
Oh, I have it. I have it ready. So
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I was able to go through it. And then Mary found time later, because it was up on the Zoom. So it was like easy to access. And we put that link.
Google. It was Google Docs. Yeah.
Google Docs. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the 2 projects that did go up, Acid Rain and
Our Future in a Container.
Yeah. Were both very, very impressive from an environmental perspective, really well thought out. We had slightly different opinions about, the ranking of those. I think we decided to give both golds in the end, just because, it's a pandemic and so few people made it to the finish line, that they really felt they needed to, recognize both of them. So that was that. Yeah.
And Bob has created certificates.
And some random person has them.
Yeah, so I will have someone on Humboldt. So I'm planning on taking those certificates, and I will buy some reasonable price frames, and I'll drop them off at the school so they can get them later. So thanks to everybody. That is done.
And what did we
Right.
decide about the stickers?
We decided not to do it this year.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll just do that. We'll continue that next year.
Sure.
Okay.
And I emailed those certificates your way already, Mary.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Bob. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yep, there they go. Okay, thank you. So that is it for subcommittee reports. And so the next item is calendar items. And it's 8:20, guys. So let's try and get this done by the meeting done by 8:30 if possible. And we've already talked about adding a few things to the calendar. Oh, Adrian, thank you. Look at the Star Articles has its own column. Thank you. That's great.
As requested, I combined major tasks and event planning to
Oh, okay, yeah,
days.
that's great.
Awesome. Looks great.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything too notable additions besides for the climate Jeopardy item, which we'd already discussed.
Yeah.
So it's just you know, as expected, and I'll see about when we can get that compost giveaway going.
All right.
And we need to move the Osec reorg, subcommittee reorg to May.
To name. Yeah.
Yeah. This looks great, Adrian. Thank you so much.
Okay.
This is
And
awesome.
can I also suggest in May when we do the reorg of the calendar and subcommittees, we also include, oh no, I lost my train of thought. Let's see. Oh, sorry. To plan out Star articles for the rest of the year. So at least we know what's coming up. Or come up with, yeah. Come up,
We should just do that under Education and Outreach Subcommittee.
okay, okay, okay,
Sure.
alrighty.
But if you're assigning them to, or if other people are volunteering that aren't on that subcommittee, you wouldn't know.
True.
Yeah,
We can talk about it. Yeah, we can.
yeah.
we can
So
talk.
like us, you know, whatever the spotlight might be for the upcoming months, we should at least tentatively put those on the calendar so we know, and then we can
Glenn
assign.
has had her hand up for a good while.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to suggest along that line that you were talking about, Mary, that we do a Star article in August or September around ocean pollution to coincide with Coastal Cleanup Day.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, okay. Yeah.
And I'll even write it if somebody
A
reminds
vegetation
me.
management Brisbane HCP article at some point, maybe based off the presentation that Bob did, because I think the average Brisbanean loves the mountain, but doesn't really understand everything that goes into it.
Okay.
Just, you know, I think the city does a lot of really great work in conservation. I think that, you know, reading that would make a lot of citizens proud of their community. And I think it would just be a great, you know, kind of a feel good piece, kind of distill down that really awesome thing that Bob did.
Yeah, I agree. That's great. Great idea. Okay.
Else on the calendar?
Oops. Yeah, so calendar, we're good. Any other chair and member matters that people want to bring up?
I see Michelle.
Oh, Michelle. Sorry, I don't see.
I've noticed that we've had a guest tonight all evening, Randy Bro. And since I hope he's still listening, I just would like to compliment Karen, Adrian, and Bob on the tremendous job they have done supporting us, even when we're difficult and cranky and demanding and everything else. And yeah, this is pure out complimentary. Randy, I hope you're listening, but all three of these people have dedicated themselves to Brisbane and our environmental issues at a level that I am so, so proud of them, and we have made so much progress, and a lot of it rests on their shoulders. So I just really want to say that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of you. I can't wait to see you guys out there getting dirty in Habitat Days again. But yeah, you guys have done a remarkable job, and especially with the challenges of Zoom and all that, everything else. So I really appreciate the work you do for all of us and the support you give us. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
Michelle,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. I want to say I completely agree with you as far as staff's professionalism and dedication, but I'll defer on making any comments about your crankiness because I'm not sure I've observed that.
I've been cranky. I have witnesses. Thanks, Randy.
It was the
Thanks, Michelle.
highlighter, when she got the highlighter.
I'm getting a new yellow highlighter from Karen for Christmas because I'm sure the PCA is coming up again.
For my part, thank you, Michelle. And it is generally a pleasure working with all of you. And I feel very fortunate to be able to do the work that I do, that I care a lot about as well. So I appreciate your support and your comments.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Just one other comment. I made it before we went live, but if anybody's listening out there, and Glenn, I'm giving kudos to Glenn because I think everyone should be reading Ministry for the Future. Climate change is in our face and we all need to wake up. But in this book is
It's on my list. I got to work through a couple of other books.
Glad you like it so much.
it's shocking, and it's the very beginning, just, the whole people dying because of rising temperatures in India just hit me a certain way. And it was just unbelievable. And it can happen.
It has
And
happened, actually.
Yeah.
Not to that extent,
Yeah.
but yeah. There's
Yes.
just a scientific report that came out in the last couple of weeks saying that if we don't get our act together really soon, a lot of the tropics will be uninhabitable
Yeah.
by people within a few decades, because it will just, what they call the wet bulb temperature, the combination of heat and humidity,
Yeah.
will just be too much for the human body to take. When you can't sweat to cool yourself off because of the humidity, you just die. So that's what we're in for, unless we all get our act together. And I have to say that I'm proud of Brisbane because I think we're doing pretty well.
Which is why you're all going to support my radical ideas when we come to the climate action, the climate emergency declaration. Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, everyone.
Next time.
I think that wraps up. Don't forget the next meeting is Climate Jeopardy, and hope to see all of you there. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Bob,
Yes.
I still want to read that book.
Yeah. Email me your address and I'll make sure it gets your way.
Okay, great. I'll do that.
'Cause I think City Hall is opening on the 22nd though.